expecting that Lena from last game, and just what like, yeah, you guys, we don't want to deal with this again. So have a tiny wisp, we just don't want any Lena.
Yeah, exactly. And Relic is actually really known for some strong tiny. I think Sleazel plays a little bit too, but I believe Relic will be running it dual lane for their mid, and that'll be really strong and really difficult to deal with. I mean, Axe is a great opener all around for presumably Guanzo's off lane, but to actually deal with the IO tiny, you're going to have to go something a little bit different. Obviously, we saw the Disruptor from Jason last game. Wasn't all that impressive, even though it's a good counter synergy against the IO Tiny. And they go with the Zeus instead. So pretty much wherever you are on the map, he's going to be nuking you. And that's also going to be disabling blinks. That's a pretty key thing here is essentially IO Tiny, whenever they relocate, they're going to be doing it at the same time as somebody else initiating. So you want either like a Beastmaster connecting with a Roar, you want a Clockwork hooking somebody and locking them down. If you get that Zeus and put blinks on cooldown, then it's very difficult to engage. So Clockwork's still probably a pretty good option here for Wheel, but we'll see what Ike's Mike is comfortable with. I think that that's probably the pick for going into Phase 2, but for now, the bans of the Necrophos, the Queen of Pain, and the Dazzle.
Yep, Necrophos would actually also be pretty good, to be honest. Tiny, of course, has a lot of burst potential. If you're able to just burst down a hero, you can just, basically delete him from the game for like a good 2 minutes almost with that Necrophos ultimate. So taking that one out, pretty good. Wheel also banning out the Juggernaut. Obviously don't want to deal with heroes they can immediately burst down with. Dazzle is of course also one of these supports that makes it really difficult for Tiny and Wisp to find a good gank on a global range. So good bans coming out, and yeah, as I said, in an ideal setting, you have some sort of hero that is able to initiate at the same time as these two heroes. The Russians, or most Russian teams, like to run it with a Spirit Breaker, for example. I'm not sure how popular that is in NA. I actually have seen it, I believe, a few times, so it could technically work, but yeah, as you said, Zeus is already a good counter pick to disable those blinks, but also to burst down the Wisp. If you burst down the Wisp, you just take out so much potential from this combo, just because Tiny is going to be a lot slower, he's going to be less mobile, he's not going to hit as fast, and of course you shut down his region. So Zeus is a good pickup, and it's also very flexible because you can run the Zeus in the mid lane, you can also run him as a support, so you're very flexible in that regard.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a Monkeys Forever type pickup, but it definitely could be run in that capacity. More than likely, I think it's going to be kind of a 4 position and see what he can do, just kind of building himself up in a less farm-oriented sense. But we're going to see the Lion follow through along with the IO Tiny, and that actually gives a lot of security to the safe lane for Wheel Wreck. They're going to already have a good dual mid, and if they went up against the Zeus in mid, oh my gosh, they would crush him with the toss. The Wisp would just jump on top of him, he'd be slowed, he'd be stunned, he'd be killed, and that would be just easy food for them. But they'll probably pick up something a little bit more either mobile or durable for the mid lane, and in the meantime, Lion up top will be able to support pretty much any carry they choose.
And I think it's also a good sort of deny pick, because I think a Lion for Root would have been pretty good as well. I mean, I did mention the burst damage, and Lion offers a lot of burst damage with that Finger of Death, being able to immediately nuke down that Wisp. The disable is pretty good against Tiny. You have even with the Earth Spike, you have basically disabled for multiple heroes. So usually Lion is a really good pickup against Tiny and Wisp, and it also pairs well with these two, obviously, because again, if you have just the Lion just smoking, he can technically smoke by himself. He just needs to smoke somewhere. He needs to give the sign, hey guys, can you come down here? We're gonna get a kill. Bam, relocate, and somebody is bound to die.
Yeah. I like the idea you mentioned earlier. Spirit Breaker could be really good for Mike. Spirit Breaker, Clockwork are the two that I'm considering for him going in the offlane with, and either one of those will be able to kind of single out specific targets and really nice isolation potential, and that just allows them to get some control along with the burst. But they're going to be up against a Viper in the mid lane, so IO Tiny versus Viper, they'll win, but they won't win, like, dramatically. Usually IO Tiny, like, just completely break the back of whatever squishy mid laner they're up against, but picking it up so early, Root know what they have to do, and that's just pick somebody tanky and reserved, and Viper will still be able to get some last hits here and there, as well as if he catches the Wisp in a bad spot, get some good harassment damage. No kills, thanks to the tether jump, but still point of frustration for him, and also has some attack speed slows, which come into play against the Tiny pretty actively.
Yeah, and that ultimate is pretty nasty as well to deal with, just to make sure that you can kite around the Tiny in those team fights. And usually you pick up an Aghanim on the Viper anyway, so you can just spam that stuff out. So I like the Viper pickup in general. You don't really see it too much nowadays, but it's still a very strong hero, I believe. Has a good laning presence as well. Doesn't necessarily do too well, I suppose, in against the dual lane. Kind of depends on, who has the lane momentum and sort of if there's any support rotation. But in general, a very solid pickup. Usually not too easy to kill as well. So, yeah, quite good. You did mention the clockwork. I'm not too sure if I like the clockwork too much with the tiny wisp, just because I feel like if you don't work well with the cogs, you might just actually hinder the tiny than helping him. So, I guess it comes down to sort of, are you comfortable enough to say, okay, our timing, our coordination is so good that sure, the clockwork's going to work out and it's not going to backfire.
Well,
and yeah, it is.
I mean, honestly, I feel like it's not too difficult. As long as you catch somebody in the cogs, you know the relocat's good to go. And I feel like it's still a pretty secure thing. There can be some issues where you're bumping around the cogs and you're not able to position yourself exactly how you want to, but I think that more often than not, you're going to find better openings with the clockwork than anything else. Ike's Mike, it's pretty much a favorite of his, and I expected that as one of the two potential options. But as far as Root's item progression now, they have to consider maybe Force Staffs instead of Blink Daggers to engage and disengage from fights, because they're always going to be on the run here. IO Tiny, they go where they please. They will chase you down, and Clockwork, he's pretty good at that too. So essentially, Root positioning is a huge aspect of how the rest of the game will play out for them, and somebody's got to rush out of Force Staff in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. Like in general, already just against the tiny wisp, mobility is key. If you can disengage from an incoming relicate with like having a blink or a force staff, it's already huge. But yeah, now with the clockwork, that's even an additional threat towards your mobility. So I wouldn't even be surprised to see an axe pick up the force staff before the blink. I think it's very rare. It almost never happens just because blink is so good. But I think in this scenario, depending on how the game goes, you might want to consider it. It's still a decent item to initiate with, but more so just to disengage with. So Root, they do pick up the Earthstrike. I like it a lot as well. It's a good amount of burst damage as well. The stuns is pretty good to lock down the tiny, and the Echo Slam, of course. I mean, you don't need to deal out damage, you just need to lock him down.
So the question in my mind is, what in the world are Root Gaming going to pick up for their carry? They obviously are going to be running the Zeus and Shaker as supports, Axe in the offlane and jungle, and then the Viper will be going to the mid. But what do you put in this position where you need to be able to be mobile, but also to be able to scale hard? Like, they don't really have just a full snowball lineup. Like, they have a team lineup that can take fights pretty well at the mid game, but Zeus is a hero that wants to kind of break down enemy initiation, see what's coming, and keep somebody safe. And that somebody has to be a hard farmer. It's not going to be the Phantom Lancer. I thought about Anti-Mage just because of the natural blink, but it's a little weird to have it against pretty much no intelligence heroes. 3 strength heroes, and you don't get really much value out of that Mana Void. So, I don't know. What do you think about Root's carry potential for EWO?
Yeah, I thought about the Anti-Mage as well, but at the same time, they already have good counters with the Line and the Clockwork, actually. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really too sold on the Anti-Mage. It's a good question, honestly, because I think, as you said, they need something that scales well into the late game as well. And Tinker. Interesting.
What do you think? Doom is too out of the meta to be something that you could put in the safe lane here?
Yeah, especially as a one-position Doom, I don't like it too much. I don't think it's too good, especially now with the Tinker as well. I think it's very easy to... not very easy, but I think it's difficult for the Doom to find good targets and, to be able to actually shut down people. I think it's easier for Wheel to shut down the Doom than it is for the Doom to shut down the Tiny, for example.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I mean... There's a lot of merit to this pick, but there's also a lot of risk involved. I was going to start talking about Weaver because of a lot of potential and how he can engage and disengage, but Furion is one that doesn't really have as much reactive options. He has proactive options, but as far as like if he's actually the target in the ganks coming out from Wheel Wreck, I'm a little bit wary. So essentially, the merits of Nature's Prophet here for fluff and stuff. Okay.
It's got to be a jungle Nature's Prophet. I think it's got to be core Zeus.
Yeah, it has to be, but how do they lane that? Do they put Zeus in the safe lane? It's odd, but you don't want Zeus versus IO Tiny. Not unless you like play it perfectly. I don't know.
He kind of has to, I think, at this point. And I think they can also just put the Earthshaker in the mid lane to babysit him a bit.
That's fair. At least he'll have some assistance coming in from the support Shaker, but... Furion, have you seen support Furion before? I've only seen it once, and it was in the hands of Puppy. It went okay.
Puppy has run it a few times as well. I believe I've seen it somewhere else as well, but in general, you kind of want to play him as a very gankish kind of hero. Before you used to pick up a mech on him as well, but that's kind of fallen out, especially since mech got nerfed as well. So I don't know. This is so weird. It has been at least a year, if not more, since I've seen a sort of 4-position Furion.
So there's a couple things that I really like about having a Nature Prof in this game in general. One thing is if you see a relocate coming, you can always join that fight. You see the threat, you want to be involved, well, there you are, to even the odds with the Wisp bringing in the Tiny. Another thing is if you see that the duo of IO Tiny is farming in one lane, and then they go and relocate in another lane, that third lane is still open for Nature's Prophet to just start pushing. And suddenly, like, they're on the defensive there. Instead of taking towers with that Aghanim's Tiny, they're actually like, okay, well, we have to go back and defend again. But it just seems weird, not only in a supportive sense, but up against a hero like Clockwork, who can just jump on him and make his life miserable. But we'll see.
And also against a Tinker. Like, Tinker Clockwork can shut down Nature's Prophet. Sure, Nature's Prophet can technically also shut down the Tinker, but I think Sleevel's gonna be fine.
We're gonna see Relic actually get the bounty rune here. Monkeys Forever doing some good arc lightning damage, and they get the poison attack. If they could just follow through with that a little bit more, that could have been killed. But Derp with a nice double Earth Spike is gonna keep him out, and they'll just give another Tango to Relic, and he'll even ferry out a bottle thanks to the bounty rune. The other bounty rune did go the way of the Clockwork, so Ix Mike is gonna have a pretty good game, and I feel like Ix Mike is going to get some sweet revenge against Fluff and Stuff this game. I mean, obviously, game 1, he was thwarted around every turn because of that Skywrath play against his axe. But now I feel the tables have turned, and Clockwork's the one that has some real potential.
I don't know about this, because I think if you're X Mike, you kind of want to be in the lane, actually.
Oh, no, I don't mean in the laning phase. I mean later.
Oh, later. Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, every hook, it's going to feel like sweet, sweet justice from the last game.
But yeah, I mean, it'll take a little bit to get there, and he's 1v1 against the Axe, which is a little interesting for him. I think Battery Assault can actually beat out the Axe a little bit. Like, I would kind of compare it back to old matchup that we used to see a lot, Clockwork versus Darkseer, and essentially Clockwork and Darkseer are very similar, except one wants a bunch of creeps around and one wants very few creeps around, and then Darkseer has just tremendous base stats, whereas Clockwork's kind of weak. But other than that, yeah, he's just going to be getting good experience, getting level 6 pretty quickly, and he probably won't be able to stop Guanzo from getting that fast blink.
And on the other lanes, looks like we were wrong with our lane predictions. So it's going to be Tinker mid. Just going to have a farming Tiny on the safe lane with 2 supports pulling, and Root is actually responding with an aggressive dual lane. I mean, you have Jason and I were just sitting here aggressively farming, making sure to interrupt all those pulls. And I like this coming out from Root. I like this laning in general. I mean, the Furion is basically having uncontested farm whatsoever.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, obviously, he's not going to have the pull camp available, but doesn't really care about that. Just going to use the Basilius, Clarities, farm, and he'll be hitting that quota pretty quickly. But it's just, yeah, it is interesting because I feel like the off-lane Viper with like a pullback support, like the Earthshaker, is straight out of a South American playbook. Like, they actually draft this kind of stuff all the time, and maybe Ewo even contributed to this discussion a little bit, said, hey, why don't we just do this top? And it seems to be okay, at least for the moment. I mean, the Viper's only gotten 6 last hits compared to the Tiny's 9, but it's also them getting plenty of experience and even getting this pull across to the Wild Wings.
And it's also keeping those both supports in check. I mean,
yeah.
If they farm on an equal level, I think Root is taking this trade any day, just because they're making sure that Wisp and line and not on any other lane making disturbing any farm going on here. Like, the Zeus is gonna have a relaxed time, Axe is gonna have a free time, and I mean, look at Fluff. He's just free farming, and quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a Midas at this point, because, you know, have a good time. If you hit a good timing, might as well go for the Midas.
So we'll see. Right now we've got 3 bottles on the side of Wheel. Of course, the Iowa starts for the bottle start, and then Relic got his at a pretty good time on the Tinker. Finally, Ike Mike likes it on the offlane for his Clockwork, so we'll probably see some refill shenanigans when people TP in, and just kind of add that to that sustain across the map. But they do have to emphasize some good rune control in order to really make it worth their while.
Yep. Just looking at the lanes, it's, well, obviously an advantage towards Wheel. I think nobody's surprised to see this, but on the bottom lane, Guanzo doing a really good job at keeping up or even pulling ahead. And I think Root is completely fine just having a very static laning phase. They don't need any sort of drama or any sort of action early on. I think they're just really fine with this sort of static farming. Even if they don't really pull ahead on the lanes, they always will have a jungler, right, with a Furion. So they will always eventually, in the grand total, in the grand scheme of things, they will pull ahead at some point. And yeah, you can see it in
mid.
experience. Oh.
Yeah, Relic popping the salve and the bottle. He has laser as well. Fluff getting baited into something that he really shouldn't get into. If there was no regen, sure, that's a great kill opportunity. But as it is, this is now a full HP Tinker, and he's going to get a double damage turn. Fluff just... he thought there was a good opportunity, and 2 seconds later, it's completely a different scenario. So, yeah, he'll just go back to the jungle, presumably, and just keep doing his thing. Is that going to be an Earnest Shadows to start things off for him, or
Could be.
Oh, the Fisher block was just off. That could have been incredible. Sleazel or Derp Derp caught out would have been big, but Jason is just off the mark by a minuscule amount. They get pushed to the other side, and that's first blood off the table.
But yeah, I like this proactive approach from Fluff. Like, not only did he gank early on, but he didn't go for the Midas, so that makes him a bit more aggressive, makes it a bit more... It makes it easier for him to gank. I wouldn't say it's going to be an Urn of Shadows. It could be, depending on his playstyle. It would make a lot of sense, but he could also build for something, maybe like an Orchid. You never know. It's been ages since I've seen a Furin in the jungle, honestly.
I can't say Orchid would work. I think it has to be a little bit more involved, a lot faster. Relic. Oh, gonna get stunned under tower. Oh, great turnaround. And even the courier taking a tower hit. One more right click. There it is. The courier and the soul ring down for several minutes here. 3. And that is going to be just so frustrating for the Tinker. I'm not sure. Obviously, he thought he could get the kill on Monkeys Forever. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone that route. But at nighttime here, he had no idea what was lurking. And the end result is just disastrous for him.
Great rotation from Jason, and yeah, as you said, top lane, they just missed the avalanche.
Yeah, very close.
Maybe could have been dead. But yeah, this Tinker, he was ahead in this lane for sure, but now, I mean, he's still going to be able to farm more than the Zeus just because the March spam is really annoying for the Zeus, but losing his Soul Ring is going to put his farm back quite a bit. He can't really...
Oh, easy pickings. Lion just walks right up to the Zeus. They won't get the bounty rune. Relic will bottle that up, but now they're in the river, and there's another lightning bolt going down. Relic trying to get vengeance on Monkeys Forever. The laser, the right click, it's enough, but they still might be able to finish him off. No. Relic with the bottle sips continuing to sustain, and it will be the Zeus going down, but losing both supports. He just finds a nice opening there where Lion's walking right up to him with no HP. IX Mike. There's that vengeance. Bringing down Fluff and stuff. Old friend. It's time to die.
He just walked in, though. He just walked in. He literally just walked in and was like, hey guys, I'm just gonna cog you. Yeah, get a kill. Didn't even need to use the hook shot, and I wouldn't be surprised if he rotates or stays around. Because, again, he does have that hook shot. Could potentially look for a kill on top lane, but Iwo, he's very much aware of this. He has no vision whatsoever, and he's just gonna sit back. Oh, Rocket scouts him out.
Oh, Tree Blade's still there. He was sticking with it, but now he is pretty vulnerable. But yeah, it did kind of look like Fluff gave him a little bit of a hug there. Like it's the secret love they're not allowed to have. Radiant and Dire, robots and trees. It's interesting. But Iwo does, of course, get caught out there. Good hook in from Ike, and actually doesn't even need the hook, of course, since he did just get the jump initially with the Battery Assault and the Cog. So he rotates. He keeps his hook available, and he is going to have Tranquils as well as Bottle to just keep his HP and mana bar full.
I'm surprised. He had 1k HP. He could have gone straight for the Arcane Boots, but apparently, like, he values the Tranquils much more, which a lot of people do these days. Like, even the support heroes, you see a lot of times people actually even favor Tranquil Boots plus Soul Ring over mid lane. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking for it, but Fisher doesn't set it up, and it looks like you're right here. It's still possible that he goes something else, but at least for the moment, it does seem like it is going to be an Oblivion staff rushed out there for Fluff and stuff. And you were talking about it earlier. What do you think about the early silence? Do you think it, like, I would rush out of silence as a jungler when I'm up against an anti-mage and I want to beat out, that's overcharge actually. The 5% incoming damage reduction saves his life there. But yeah, I would just, like, if I'm like trying to race an anti-mage, get an Orchid before he can get a Manta, that's when I pick up a Blink on somebody like an Enchantress or a Furion. Why would you pick up an Orchid in this game?
It's a good question. I was actually just randomly rambling when I said so earlier, because I actually agree with you that I don't think that the Orchid is a good item for him. It may still just be treads for him and just a casual Sage's Mask. But I guess the silence is nice to have against the Wisp, maybe, just to shut down that overcharge if it is coming out. making sure that the line doesn't contribute in fights with a lot of his spells because they are annoying. A lot of disables from his side, and just making sure that the relic can maybe not spam out his marches or rearm all the time. So I guess there's potential there for the silence if he wants to go that route.
Yeah, it's all right. It's just not like there's nothing that makes you think like, oh man, he's got to get this item and it's gonna stop this and this and this. Like eventually Tinker's gonna be more item dependent than spell dependent, and silence won't really matter to him then. If you look at like the worst thing that can happen to him is his relocate gets canceled, because yeah, essentially you get any disables against you, you lose your ability to relocate. But yeah, tier 1 tower up top gets finished off. Ewo with the 2 points of Nether Toxin cleans that one up for himself. Meanwhile, it's just jungle buddies here for Wheel. Relic is going to go ahead, clear out this one with the March of the Machines, and Tiny was farming up very recently. But here's another question for you. Goody just skilled a 2nd point in overcharge. Obviously, we're very familiar with the value pointed tether, just 1 point there, but the spirits are going to be sitting here and only doing 25 of their potential 100 damage if he goes ahead and follows this skill build. Do you think this is just a 1 extra point to buff it up, or is this going to be something he maxes first?
I honestly always see spirits being maxed first because I think it offers a lot more. As you said, like the damage is actually pretty strong, and if you just look at the lineup, just even like the Nature's Prophet, the Zeus, they're not really too tanky. So having additional spirit damage would have been could be quite nice, but it may just be something of personal preference where he's just like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna be helping out Sleazel farm a lot in the jungle anyway. I need to make sure that he's always hydrated, but yeah, maybe it's just some sort of personal preference where he's just like, yeah, I just need to keep up with.
Well, he was playing the Ogre last time, right? So it's kind of like this. Oh, actually, gonna get the overcharge damage reduction to keep him and Sleazel alive here, but the dunk still might come. No, there's the double combo. The spirits at long range trying to bring down Guanzo. He's fast thanks to the battle hunger, but he still will fall to the IO, and Fluff just can't get there in time. So what turns into a gank, the gank gear becomes the gank E, and down bottom, Ewo is caught 1v3. He did get the last on the tower, so hashtag worth it, but still, it is the 4th and 5th kill for Wheel, and they have still yet to use Mike's hookshot.
Yeah, and Relic has his Boots of Travel. He's halfway towards his Blink Dagger as well. He's hitting a good timing, honestly. I mean, obviously, yeah, it could be better, but considering he died earlier, he lost his Soul Ring, I think it's a pretty good timing on his boots and on a potential Blink Dagger soon. So this is something they're going to have to look out for, and they don't really have the best heroes to jump him. They don't really, I mean, if they had the Clockwork, I'd say, wow, Root has a good lineup, but they only have, like, the Earthshaker, the Nature's Prophet, who, yeah, there's some sort of gank potential towards the Tinker, but it's not ideal. You kind of have to be very sneaky, you have to pre-position yourself almost, and speaking of which, they're going to look towards a gank onto Sleazel.
They're going to find a nice opportunity. Relocate is available, though. Will Goody get in time? No. The chop, the lightning bolt, just wouldn't even have the 2.5 second cast delay to bail him out, but they're still going to go with all these things on cooldown. Guanzo doesn't get stunned, but he does get fingered, and he's already down. Now Fluff, only level 8 here, goes for the Wrath, and they tried to target the Zeus, so he's going to be able to walk away. Fluff was the easier target, but now they're getting all the damage out, and suddenly Mike is the one on the run, very close to going down. It looks like he will survive, but that's still 3 for 1 on the back of that initiation.
Yeah, great rotation coming out from Rude, realizing, hey guys, this Tiny is probably farming somewhere here, and I like this. They're actually the ones doing this sort of like global ganking. I mean, they do have the Zeus, they do have the Nature's Prophet, so they're always present, and some good rotation coming out, and they're buying themselves a lot of time, because this Tiny, well, yeah, his farm in the lane was good. It's not impressive. It's not something where like, you're like, oh, somebody has to stop him. He's hitting a normal timing, which I think is fine for Rude for now.
So, just looking at Goody right now, he did max overcharge, 70 attack speed, 20% damage reduction, but Tiny's Grow is just at level 1, so he's only losing 20 attack speed with Grow. He's got Treads, which makes up 30, and then he's getting 70 more. This Tiny is actually going to be attacking really quickly, and he's still hitting for like 158. It almost seems worth it, but now we're going to see the hook. Oh, Blink Dodge just narrowly, thanks to this Observer Ward placed out earlier behind the Tier 1.
Aw, nice awareness from Monkeys Forever. He realized, okay guys, they probably had vision here, they saw us coming in. immediately dewards something. This is the benefit of the Zeus, obviously, just having a lot of map control. And Mike's Forever is actually doing a really good job on his Zeus. I mean, he picked up a Midas. He's making sure that he keeps up with the farm on everybody's on the Dire side as well. Sure, he doesn't have any important item right now, but he's going to have a good amount of levels, and at some point he's going to have good items as well. What do you think should the Zeus build at this point?
Force staff is what we were talking about before, so I'm going to stick to that. I think disengaging tools is going to be really important for the side of root. They got lucky in the jungle by just having kind of a concave advantage, if I can use a StarCraft term, and they were able to, just with multiple heroes at long range and with a lot of nuke spells, able to deal with anybody that came to the Dire jungle high ground. But for the most part, they won't be in that kind of position. And when the clockwork jumps,
Fluff.
when they get caught out, they need to be able to react to it. And that is actually going to be the death of the Nature's Prophet. The relocate coming out. No, Goody doesn't even use it. He's just trying to overcharge, using the heals, keeping him alive. Cecil will live thanks to the overcharge being maxed out, and now they go in onto Guanzo here. They should be able to kill him just with the spirits alone, but it's going to be Ewo to nuke down the Tiny. He's left out to dry. And there's actually Goody going down as well. Oh, what a disaster. Well, it looked like something they could actually turn around. Turns into something they just fall apart at. The Monkeys Forever Lightning Bolt just a moment too late. Can't cancel the TP, but it's still 2 down after jumping onto Fluff and stuff.
Evo with a very crucial mech on the Axe. Axe is practically dead, but helped him with the mech. And even though Fluff died in the very beginning of that fight, he got a Orchid, and he's gonna get a solo kill.
Oh, yep, actually, missing that. Sorry, I was readjusting something, and now we see the death of the Lion here. He does get picked off, but Relic is going to try to pin him out. Ike's Mike, yeah, there's a toss. There's a slow. There's a kill. Relocate was used to get here, though, so, I mean, that's something. But even still, Nature's Prophet, yeah, just with that Observer Ward again, the last few seconds of it gives him the vision to get that kill. And he's going to be trying for more plays like that, so we'll see if he can find more opportunities. I mean, it is frustrating for the Lion, that's for sure. He doesn't really have dealing with it, but generally speaking, I figure that somebody will be nearby. That a Clockwork will be able to get in hook range, that a Wisp will be able to jump in, relocate, obviously, if he's committed. It just feels like that's going to be only happening once or twice more. But Goody, caught out. There's that hook. The Cog knockback is only going to hit on Guanzo, and Mike is actually kind of in a really weird spot. The Blade Mail helps. Monkeys Forever gets the nuked back against him. But in the end, it's still the death of the Clockwork and the Wisp. And Thunder God's Wrath just came off cooldown. So, yeah, they are looking to continue the fight if possible. Right now, hasting to the Bounty Rune. Yeah, Monkeys Forever is going to have plenty of life to go for a push on mid. And they've got all the potential to take this tower, no problem at all.
Yeah, Root is playing this really well. Like, they're playing a lot of pressure with their lineup. They're finding a lot of solo pickoffs. They're making sure that, hey guys, let's not even take a team fight because, you know, there's a lot of stuff to deal with. Let's just pick off a few heroes by themselves, and after that we can just resort to pushing. I mean, they do have the Nature's Prophet, so if they want to, they can transition every gank into a push. Yeah, there's a Tinker, but you can always just try to outsplit push the Tinker. Sure, it's difficult, but, you know, you can try.
So, we're going to go ahead, just see them starting to control the Dire jungle, taking farm away from Wheel. This is a critical time for Sleazel's progression, because he's looking for that Aghanim Scepter. Once he gets that, he's set to kill towers, kill creeps, have a lot going for him. But in this just moderate time frame where he's still working towards it, 1,000 gold off, that's when taking farm away from him is causing the most issues. But look at that attack speed, grow level 2, and he's still hitting just like the young old little kid. But yeah, he's got the Quelling Blade too, so farming up the jungle quickly. They have to watch where they walk. Guanzo waiting in the shadows.
Yep. Monkeys Forever also just picked up a Blink, so he's very mobile.
Oh, going in, the hook shot will connect onto Guanzo, catching him in the trees. He can't get out of this, and now he's going to go down. There will be an Echo Slam, but it doesn't do too much. Goody in the backline just healing himself with the Inner Shadows, using that overcharge. Now he's going to go down to the Viper Strike, but Sleazel's already gotten pretty much 2 health bars worth from this Wisp, thanks to the mitigation, thanks to the heals, and boom, goes the toss, goes the kill against Ewo's Viper. So the end result is a 4-for-2, favoring Root Gaming significantly, despite the hookshot initiation. They start the fight, but Root finish it.
Yeah, there's so much burst damage coming out from Root, and if Earthshaker had even hit his Echo Slam properly, there would have been a even worse fight for them. Fluff and Stuff with a very smart rotation, he TP'd to the back line of the fight and picked off the Clockwork while he was retreating, so big of a vendetta between him and IX Mike. very funny to watch, but very smart execution from Root once again. They were very patient on the top lane, even Fluff very patient with his TP as well. And Relic, I mean, yeah, he's not dying in those engagements, but at the same time he's yet unable to save his teammates as well.
Yep, still working on it. I mean, he's still building up items. Once he actually gets active items, that's when he's really going to be able to do more in this game. Because right now he is actually countered by that Orchid decently. But he's going to go Bloodstone, and once he starts building up Dagon and Ethereal Blade, or perhaps a Sheepstick on top of the Bloodstone Blink, that's when he's going to be able to just very clearly win out and not be really threatened by things like Silence. But the big thing I want to point out is how much damage Monkeys Forever put out on the team fight. He pretty much put out like damage equal to the other 4 heroes on the side of Root. Monkeys Forever just kept on getting to chain cast his spells. Obviously the ulti does a lot of team-wide hero damage, but just spamming out Arc Lightning and Lightning Bolt actually has been doing a lot recently too, and he's lived the entire fight without any pressure at all, and he was the one to clean all that up. So now they push on the bottom tier 2, and in the meantime a tier 1 tower trade up top.
Yeah, like Monkeys Forever's position in those teamfight is really, really good. Like the static field deals so much damage towards the Tiny and even the Wisp as well. So,
yeah, there are what 3 or 4 strength heroes?
Yeah, exactly. No,
yeah, three. So 2 intelligence, 3 strength, and a lot of them have some pretty good HP pulls. Do you think they're going to get anything out of it though? Just trying to jump, find the opening, drums of endurance, keeping Suzel back.
Monkeys Forever was a bit too hasty. If he had waited a bit for Iowa to get in range, they may have been able to deal a bit more damage, but I guess he saw the TP coming in and was like, okay guys, let me just jump in. But overall, just these little things, it's just already really good. I mean, Sleazel literally just went to the bottom lane, he saw the Zeus being there, he saw the Zeus bully him out of the lane, and now he has to retreat into his own jungle again.
But he got the Axe, so I mean, it's not like it's going to be too gradual of progression for him. He's going to move forward, try to clear out any camps that remain in his jungle, but Guanzo, Sleazel see each other, but that's going to be the death of the Axe, thanks to this Observer Ward, giving them the impetus to take control. Now we see down bottom, it's going to be just Clockwork and Tinker counter-pushing, trying to keep this tier 2 alive, and honestly, without the Axe, they don't really have much place being here, but they still have this Ward Vision, going to try to chain stun Mike, and even with the Blade Mail, he's still taking too much damage. Fluff on a killing spree. Now the Echo Slam onto the relocate, instant stun, and now it looks like the Wisp might die. One more hit is all EO needs, and he's gonna get it here. Oh, taking him down. The Wisp will die. Sleevel still in pursuit of Monkeys Forever. Needs the toss, but can't get in range. It's gonna be Avalanche. No, the blink out. Oh, such a close exchange between Sleezel and Monkeys Forever, but in the end, the Zeus lives. The Tiny draws a sad face, and just overall, it's very difficult for Root to take these fights successfully. Now, Nature Prophet did die in the back end there. He did go down to the Lion's Finger, but even still, these fights are really good for Root, and they show no signs of stopping.
Yep. They have to be a bit careful, though, with these kind of team fights. I don't think they should take fights in that sort of position where Tinker can get easily in and out. Because with that, I mean, yeah, we talked about how the Tinker needs a few more active items to be able to help his teammates more. But if they fight near tower, I mean, they're just gonna make sure that Relic gets in and out of this team fight as much as he pleases. And at some point, he's just gonna spam those rockets. And that's why I think, like, Root, they have to take different team fights. Just go back to the jungle, find them in the jungle, make sure that Tinker, you know, if he gets into that team fight, it's just a one-at-a-time engagement. Oh, derp derp.
Yeah, but he's got the hook shot to help him out now, and this is the problem with these kind of plays. You got Blink Orchid, but if you go on somebody and Mike's nearby, he's just gonna put you in your place, and that just locks him down. So derp derp lives, Fluff falls, and that's just not working out for them. Now, I actually really like the item follow through from the Tinker. He turned his Soul Ring and upgraded into a Bloodstone. Oh, gonna be, yeah, pushing up top. Zeus can't really do much about that. But not only did he upgrade the Bloodstone, but then he actually buys another Soul Ring so that he can still use that active and exploit it the way he can in the Fountain with Rearm.
Yeah, I think you have to, honestly. I think you have to. I mean, if play Tinker bottom lane.
Yeah, big clash coming through. The relocate comes out, tossing the low HP Wisp right onto the front line here, but Jason can't get anything out of it. Trying to hide in the trees, but they're all seen, and Relic is now unstoppable, racking up. Suddenly, he had 8 Bloodstone charges 2 minutes ago. He got kind of a pseudo assist out of the Fluff's death. He just kind of happened to be there, blinking on top of him, and then now he has racked up 11 stacks of that Bloodstone. So his respawn timer is very, very small indeed.
Yeah, And honestly, I think Root should just try to stay away from these sort of engagements whatsoever. I think they just should, I don't know, maybe even smoke up, because if they just keep knocking on the front door like this, they're just gonna make it so easy for Wheel to respond. They're always in range. Like, I think the benefit of Root's lineup is that they can pick off a few heroes just with just like 1 or 2 heroes. They just need the axe to jump on somebody, then you can always TP the Furin in, and then you always have the Zeus ult to back him up. But if they just knock on the front door from Wheel, they're just gonna make they just make sure that Wheel can respond with all of their 5 heroes.
So, where are we looking at next for the Tinker? He's just going to go for that Dagon 5. I mean, he's got all the mana in the world to work with here. He has the potential to suicide if things get dicey. The quick respawn is what he wants to accrue. So he's looking for ways to kill people, and the Dagon seems to be the best way to go. But we have seen in some cases people prefer Disable, and as such go for the Scythe of Ice.
I think Scythe of Ice is better. Technically, if he wants to go really greedy, he could also go for Shiva's Guard if he wants to. But I think the Scythe of Ice, oh, yeah, well, he finds himself derp, but yeah, nothing happens out of it. But yeah, I think Scythe of Ice is just in general better. Just especially considering how nobody on Root's side has a BKB right now, and is very unlikely to get a BKB anytime soon. Top lane, Ix Mike, very isolated. But he just runs back.
Yep, I mean, he's got the Tinker at his back. This is the level 16 Tinker, and he did max rearm. Generally speaking, a Tinker would have to be sitting on 2 points of rearm instead of 3 at this stage in the game, but because of this exact item build, he's able to sustain it perfectly. Out of Fountain, he still has 19 mana regen, and then back in he has 105. There's going to be a pick off here down bottom, just jump in the Wisp with the initiation, and they're going to be able to actually try to go in 5v4 against this tower.
Yeah, Wisp sort of like read the situation of bottom lane wrong. He thought they were going to get jumped on. He prematurely relocated out, and they just smartly waited for him to return. And with this, they take a tower out of this. And Roots, they're in a good position to maybe try to eventually secure a good Roshan pit. Just make sure that you have proper warding, proper wards up around the pit, and at some point maybe secure it, because you don't really want to give an Aegis to Tiny, because as it is right now, it's already difficult to kill him once.
Of course not, but he's racking up the big net worth here, looking for the AC. Yeah, already on the courier. He buys out for it, but man, that is a huge pickup. Suddenly, he's just going to be knocking on these towers no time at all. If Root make a mistake, their towers are gone. Tier 2s for now, but later, sure, it's going to be racks.
For sure. Ooh. Jason, as we did talk about it, he's gonna go for the first force off before the blink. Makes a lot of sense. Although I do have to say it hasn't really been that much of an issue. Not to say that Ix Mike hasn't played a good Clockwork this far, but you didn't really see too many situations where you're like, oh no, I'm trapped in cogs. If anything, the hook shots from Ix Mike were pretty crucial in this, or pretty good in these sort of engagements.
Well, if we do see that sheepstick from the Tinker, then it's also really good to get somebody out of that position against the Hex, but yeah, I'm almost positive he's going to be going Dagons. It's just like, it seems to be, it's the build that was very common in SEA.
Ix Mike.
Oh, finds Jason. There's that knockout. Pulled out, but he's still going to be taking some hits here. Does bring down the Lion. Now Guanza going hard onto Mike. Needs that dunk. He will get it. But now they have the movement speed to walk away or engage further. Blink coming off cooldown. The taunt does not connect onto Relic, but it will bring down Sleazel. Look at all the machines marching away here. Relic cannot, hands still blink despite the silence, and he's going to be perfectly fine to disengage there. So he's the last man standing. He keeps his Bloodstone charges up, but this is a lot of kills going the way of Root.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Like, Root needs to find more engagements in this sort of setting. Tinker, sure, Relic, like, he TP'd to the tier 2 mid, and he had to blink in and then walk in, and then, you know, he couldn't do as much. He wasn't directly in the fight. The same applies to Tiny and Wisp. They weren't really immediately in the fight. They had to kind of walk in. I think they weren't really in a position to relocate in as well. So, Root, they kind of have to keep finding these sort of engagements where Wheel can't immediately respond. And with this, I mean, look at this. They're now going for Roche. And if they keep fighting these fights, they're gonna keep finding objectives afterwards as well. So Root, very good execution. And oh, Fluff, he's going for very greedy pickoff build here. He has a Mask of Madness. Yeah, Mask of Madness plus BKB. What are you gonna do to me? That's what he's pretty much asking here as he sends out right click after right click. A lot of people don't think about this aspect of the item, but Orchid actually gives you a lot of right click damage on an intelligence hero. It costs a decent sum,
But it's not just the active here, or even the mana regen. You get 30 attack speed and 55 damage, adding in the intelligence. So getting 100% more attack speed, and suddenly you're able to tear through people really quickly. So he'll use the BKB to secure that, and then suddenly he can actually do some considerable DPS against the squishier heroes like that Io. I mean, he's only got 8 armor to himself, and that's with Tiny's aura. Assuming he's out of range of that, it's only 3.
Yeah, and I think he has to transition into this sort of carry, right-click damage carry, because sure they have the Viper, but that's pretty much it. So against Tiny, as soon as he picks up a BKB, definitely you want more physical damage. And you know, Firen, he was a very classic DPS hero, like physical DPS hero. Ooh, goody. You're dead, bro.
Yeah, unfortunate, but there we go. You're gonna just follow through. No chance to even tether out. They're going to go ahead and look for the tier 2 on top of that. Sleazel TPing out, fortunately just in time.
Yep, and unfortunately for Root, the lane is in no position to get pushed in. It's very pushed out, so they can't even transition this into a potential tower push. They're going to retreat. They're going to take a bit of the jungle farm. And Guanzo working on a BKB, also very close. And there it is, the Dagon you've been hoping for.
Oh yeah, he actually had Dagon 2 for a little bit now, but going for Dagon 3, he keeps on maxing it out. Going back to the TI4 pre-qual or the qualifiers for that, a lot of people were really impressed with DDZ and his Tinkerplay. Obviously, that fella's been subject to some 322 since then, and that's it's almost a taboo name. But this guy redefined how Tinker was played in SCA Dota, and his build was a Bloodstone, or Blink, then Bloodstone, then Dagon 5, and it rocked faces. It really was very streamlined, optimized, and really good against Doom, who was very popular at the time, because you get that instant respawn, and then you get to fight a Doom without his ultimate. So
bottom lane, Fluff is setting up a trap.
Oh, interesting.
Oh my god, this could be so good.
But do they have to see the March machines there. They break the tree line down. He has the BOTs. Can he get the chance to use them? Going for the BOTs now. They can't cancel it. Oh, the Echo Slam! The 4-staff Echo Slam shift queued perfectly from Jason. And they actually do bring him down. What you have to do in that situation is you TP, you shift queue a right click just south of that position, and then you shift queue your 4-staff, and then you shift queue your Echo Slam, or even just hammer it while you're in the middle of the 4-staff. No matter what, that requires the critical timing. And now actually we're going to see a pickoff on Fluff and stuff in turn. There's going to be the derp finger, dropping it onto the Earthshaker, and we already see Tinker back alive. He lost a lot of Bloodstone charges, so he's kind of sour about that, but they do get some revenge, bringing down the Shaker as well as the Furion.
I'm still baffled by that pickoff on the Tinker. I was so next level. I mean, kind of... I say next level, but it's pretty standard to wait in the trees for the Tinker, right? Or have some sort of like ward.
Yeah, wards are much more common. But Goody gonna get the taunt against him again. One lightning bolt, one cold. No, they don't get the cold, and he actually magic wands. Thunder God's Wrath will finish the job, though. You can't beep boop from heaven.
Oh, are they gonna find Sleazel? There's
yeah,
gonna be a
Viper Strike gets really good here, and they're gonna be able to get the taunt in just a moment. And dice toss across, but Axe has too much armor once he gets the taunt out, and you're not even gonna get cold. It's just gonna be the death of the Tiny. Monkeys Forever caught, but he'll blink out. Derp, no blink to pursue. It's going to be the Aegis pop for Ewo, but Zeus and Axe both get away.
Yep, that's a very good trade for them. I mean, obviously they don't even trade at all because they don't give away a single kill. And in fact, they can transition this into a push because luckily they have a crew wave sitting here. So Fluff respawns and immediately TPs in. There's a mech from Iowa as well, and this is the tier 2 tower. Root Gaming is playing this really, really well.
Now, furthering what we were talking about earlier, Goody has actually just ignored the spirits entirely beyond level 1. And essentially, that's because, like, if you're going to skill spirits, you're going to do it in the early game, where magic damage is most relevant to an HP pool. Like, this is like 1,000 potential damage coming in from the spirits with the explosions. And... or it's 500, right? I'm overrating that a little bit. Yeah, 500 hero damage.
500.
So... oh yeah, I remember watching a video about the jungle wisp, and he always doubled up the spirits, so that's why they always said 1,000. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, 500 magical damage coming in from 5 spirits total, and essentially that's going to be most impacting to a health pool in the earliest stages of the game. The way the wisp does it, he just says, okay, I'll empower my Tiny the way I always would, and just use spirits mostly for vision more than damage, and that way he can go for stats, get more HP to work with, and have less chance of being bursted down, though that doesn't seem to help against all these nukes from Root.
Yeah, against this lineup for sure, I think this is the better decision from Goody. Good move from here from Derp, realizing, hey guys, we've been ganked in our jungle like, what, 3-4 times? They have to have a ward here, right? And he immediately finds the D ward, so good movement coming out from him, although it's a bit too late. But with this, we'll reclaim their own jungle, and much needed for them. They haven't really been feeling too safe in their own jungle for quite some time, and now finally they can farm a bit here now. And Root, I think they're just happy just farming up a few items. I think they want a few crucial items before they re-engage. Find the heart on Iowa, for example, or another damage item on the Fluff. He did finish that BKB, may look towards something either like a Hax, or he goes really full DPS, something like a Mjolnir.
Yeah, Mjolnir's good. He's got a lot of attack speed. I would actually have to say crit would be really good. Go for the Daedalus. You've already got tons of attack speed from a little bit from your Orchid, treads a lot from your Mask of Menace, and Mjolnir just kind of adds a little bit, like, it doesn't stack the same way. You don't want to just get max attack speed and have no damage. You want to kind of middle ground between the two, and I think Mjolnir would be the way to go if he's going for that full right click. Otherwise, Hex is really good mid to late game potential, and obviously he's got the teleport and the blink to make it always worthwhile.
Hex may not be that great right now just because Tiny did just finish up his BKB, so it's going to be a very fresh charge next time around. And 10 seconds is a very short window for Root to find a kill on Tiny. Like, if he pops the BKB, it's very difficult for them to kill him, and waiting out the BKB is not an option now, I think. So going for a DPS, or going for something like a Daedalus might be better.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's merit to the 10-second BKB argument, but this is a Nature's Prophet we're talking about. So if he farms enough, he might have buyback and Sheep, and that way he could just, with his second life, buy back into the fight, teleport in, and use the Hex that way. But
that's true.
It's hard to break it down that way and know if that's actually going to be the reliable selection. For now, he's at a good spot, and we'll just have to see where he goes from here. But in the meantime, Axe finishes up the BKB. Zeus is up to 15 Bloodstone charges and has his Aghanim Scepter BOTs. Ewo's Heart is complete. The Shaker just picked up his Blink. Should be coming on the courier now. Yep. And let's look over the side of Wheel.
Ike's Mike also just finished his BKB, so you get a BKB, you get a BKB, everyone gets a BKB.
Well, considering there's no Lina or Queen of Pain this game, it actually seems pretty good.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They're finally getting a lot of value out of this BKB. Bottom lane, Sleazel's gonna push out. No new item outside of his BKB yet. Oh, Guanzo just missed the call.
So Sleazel caught inside the Sprout during that BKB. They're waiting it out perfectly, and they're just going to be able to right-click him down from there. Blink call can come through, but I don't know if they're confident in it. Like, he still hits hard, hits fast. Guanzo at less than half HP. Mike doesn't have the hook shot, so they can't really re-engage, but Root aren't going to be able to follow through on this. Tinker, just getting some good rocket damage out. Looking for a Dagon opportunity soon, but the big thing here is Sleazel's back up at full HP, and it's only the Wrath of Nature to go in. Oh, the Echo Slam! Jumping in! Doing massive damage! Relic has to suicide! Heals up Sleazel, though, and he is back in action. Right-clicking away with the Tether, with the Overcharge. Now the Wisp goes down. Sleazel having to TP out, but almost getting the Aftershock stun is Jason with the Blink in. Either way, they clean it up, and they are going to be looking for Roshan, which has spawned very recently. The fight recap showing 2,000 gold swing in favor of Root, as well as 2,500 experience. Not getting much out of the Tinker, of course. He is a level 19 hero, but by suiciding, it only costs him 345 and gives nothing in the way of Root.
Such a heads-up play from Root. Making sure to jump the Tinker just behind the backline, just ignoring the Tiny almost. And oh god, that was so smart, and now they get the rush out of it. Who are they going to give it to? Is it going to be the Zeus? Probably going to be the Zeus. I think he deals a lot of damage in these fights.
It's either him or the Viper. Both could be pretty viable here, and it is going to be the Viper. So despite him being the tankiest member of the team, and is this server lag?
I think this is
everybody's lagging. That is US East right there.
Typical carry behavior. Hey, I'm full slotted, but please give me the Aegis.
Yeah, he's super tanky, but he wants to make sure that he can just... I mean, essentially with this, he can position himself in the fights right there in the front, and Zeus can kind of rotate around him. He plays the anchor now, and he just kind of goes in, even up to the high ground next to the tier 3 tower, and he just says, come at me. Burn through 3,000 health twice. Just try. And in the meantime, the Zeus can kind of move where he wants to, do what he needs to deal the most damage. As long as they have confidence in Monkey's Forever positioning skills, in theory, that should be the ideal structure for going in for the high ground. But still hard to do.
You saw it in the last fight as well. I mean, Viper drew the attention from the Tiny pretty well. He made sure to kite him around with his ultimate, with just his Viper, like in general, just his poison. And Monkeys, however, at least in that last fight, or in every fight in general, I think his position has been really well. Like, he's always made sure to never been in the center of... Oh, it's still lagging.
Yeah, very much so.
He's made sure to never be in the center of the attention, to, you know, to not get bursted down, because quite frankly, they could have always been able to burst him down, but since they haven't, he has racked up 18 Bloodstone charges. That's how they never got to him. 18 Bloodstone charges. It's actually quite insane.
Yeah, he hasn't died for a long, long time, and only once this game. I was just looking at the Bloodstone charge race between the Zeus and the Tinker, and they were pretty close at one point, but now Tinker's down to 6 suddenly after 2 deaths, and the Zeus, he is up to 18, so not too shabby for him. He's going to look for that Refresher Orb, and there's really nothing stopping him from getting those ultis out, and I mean, 1800 mana, just all the mana regen in the world. So one thing that I want to note is that Nature's Prophet Sprout is actually a lot better cooldown at this stage in the game than it was 20 minutes earlier. Usually you have Tangos or Quelling Blade or something to break out the Sprout, but we saw Tiny was locked in place there when he had his BKB up. The Sprout locked, it just prevented him, and we're going to have to go for like some kind of remake. This is just insane.
Yeah, it's spiking a lot. You can't really play with this, especially if you have like a hero like Tinker. Like, you have to hit your timing perfectly, so very unfortunate. But yeah, that Sprout in the last team fight was actually really, really huge. I mean, we literally just talked about it before, how you don't really want to pick up Hex just because this 10-second BKB is so annoying to deal with, and you don't really, like, can't really wait it out. But apparently you can wait it out because you have a Sprout.
Yeah, I mean, right, 5.25 seconds, it's usually never seen to that full potential, but just the way that it currently is, unless Wisp buys himself a Quelling Blade, those trees are there to stay, and that's got to be annoying for the Tiny in particular. I
mean, at the same time, you have to hit the Sprout, right? Since it's a BKB target, you can't actually click on it, so you have to click on the ground. Sure, it's not incredibly difficult, but it's also not incredibly easy, considering Tiny's always going to be moving around, especially if he's charged up from the Wisp. So you never really know. So good play from Fluff for sure. Especially in general, I think Root has been playing these past minutes very, very well. I think they're utilizing their lineup for to its maximal potential. But yeah.
It's just fun seeing the banter between these two guys. Mike calls for the unpause, it works. Literally Ice Frog. But yeah, one thing I want to mention is that it's kind of been unspoken in my mind that we'll have the late game, right? Like, I don't think either one of us are like saying, oh, well, if this game goes 2 hours long, Root are going to be able to contest this really well. No, we'll have incredible late game heroes, and all 6 slotted. They should be able to just guarantee the win. But every single fight, Root still just seems so damn good that I don't want to talk even about the late game yet, because their mid game is so strong, they're not losing momentum at all. So eventually, they have to end the game, and they're on the clock. But as it is right now, the net worth of just the Tiny and the Tinker, it doesn't matter all that much because of how well Root are playing around them. Yeah,
because the goal is much more evenly distributed on Root. If you just look at the net worth chart, like, you have basically 4 cores, and then you have the Earthshaker, who's still quite farmed. And that's actually a pretty big deal, the fact that Wheel doesn't have farmed supports. I mean, this Wisp is just a walking bottle, and the Lion, he doesn't even have a blink to play around with.
He had to go for the tank build.
If this line had a blink, the game or every team fight would be completely different, because
I mean, there is a Zeus. There's Wrath of Nature, Thunder God's Wrath, Static Field, a lot of stuff to break the Blink Dagger, but I agree that if he gets a blink off of the fight, that could be something that just changes the entire map. But they're going to go for a smoke play, maybe get some gold pride from Root's cold dead fingers, and Sleazel's going to be the bait for it.
Well, I'm not sure if they're going to get this. They need a good jump on Fluff, and I think he's pretty much aware of this, yeah. He doesn't see anybody, especially considering they're pushing out the top lane, and there's only Tinker. So Fluff, he's playing it very safe.
Oh, there's the...
Oh, classic Zeus. Just scouting out smokes. Happens every game with the Zeus.
Yep. So
Good awareness. Roshan is not even remotely up.
No. That was just recently taken by Ewa. We were talking about that Aegis. I know the pause kind of skews timelines a little bit.
The pause, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, he's got nearly 3,000 HP, activating the mech. He's got 2 lives, and he's looking to rumble. We have actually a TP out and a TP in. Monkeys Forever isn't going to get here in time, though, and Lion just narrowly escapes. Same thing with the Wisp.
Oh, Relic playing with Root. Is he actually going to TP in? Nah, he's just playing with him. But yeah, late game, it's gonna be tough. It's also gonna be tough for Root to actually break high ground, just because there's split push potential from the tiny Wisp. I'm not sure if Root wants to break high ground unless they've taken down either Wisp or the tiny. Honestly.
It's not an easy sell. We're actually gonna see almost. Yeah, he's just playing around with his BOT. He doesn't really have too many options. Maybe jump bottom, but overall he wants to keep them guessing as far as how things are gonna play out. And yeah, in the end he's just gonna march his own high ground, which just is one of the best turtle skills in the game. Even still, like, you can actually use Pipe of Insight against it, of course, and they do have 1 BKB, but otherwise it's a significant point of frustration going to try to push in against a Tinker with that. Oh,
bottom lane.
Wow. What a potential pick off. The relocate, the kill, Monkeys Forever. He'll have a 16-second respawn. That's still a lot of Bloodstone charges gone. Now Fluff getting 3-shot by Sleazel. Suddenly, the A-team just jumps into it, and the relocate out. They may still be taunted, but they get out of there with the relocate rubber band, and only the clockwork falls. So Zeus is back, and I hope that he can make use of his quick respawn, or all those Bloodstone charges are just down the drain.
Again, I expect just casually walked in. Like, I have no idea how he does this every time. He just casually walked in, he finds himself a Zeus, makes sure he hooks him down, he keeps him there with a Cogs relocate in.
He's like a lion tamer. He's just kind of gradually rotating around him, looking for the opening, has the chair in hand. He's just like, come on, let me get in there. Let me get you caged up, and once you're locked in, there's no going back. Mike really just knows how to play this clockwork on a whole nother level.
For sure, he's playing a really good game, and I mean we've talked about it. He doesn't even need those hook shots, right, to set anything up, and I believe this is the Aegis timing out. Yeah, Aegis just timed out, and Root, they kind of didn't really do anything with the Aegis. After the Aegis pickup, they were sort of in this very stale sort of situation where they were just trying to push out every lane, sort of. Didn't really find a good kill as well. They're not really sure what they're supposed to do. You can see this because they're all stacked up, or some of them anyway.
Yeah, they're not really getting anything off the map. They're not really farming, but time ticks onward, and every minute Wheel is slightly better off in this game. Even if Root take the farm advantage, they're at a point. They're going to get to a point where they just have to end the game with the items that they have, and I feel that with the refresher orb, that Root are going to be in a better spot, because Monkeys Forever is going to be able to do an insane amount of damage, but it's not completely game ending, and Wheel are still gaining more and more traction. I mean, Sleazel has shown what he can do with that Daedalus if he just gets the attack speed buff from the Wisp, and I mean, you don't need that much more at this point. You get BOTs, you get Manta style, and that's really all you need as the Tiny. And
Fluff did go for that. Did go for the Maelstrom.
Okay.
I actually agreed with you that I think Daedalus would have been better, but I guess he wants the attack speed more than just raw damage.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how much value he's going to get out of it, but I guess you consider the Mjolnir active. You can put it on the axe or something like that when he gets the taunt out, and you can get a lot of lightning procs that way. Or it's just, you know, lore synergy with the Zeus. Just they're taking lightning damage to Wheel's water type. I don't know.
Put the ultimate fear of God into them. Lightning everywhere. Sleazel, he has a Daedalus though. He's like, hey guys, I'm just gonna club you down. 400 damage, 420. So much damage coming out. Derp doing a good job dewarding. He found a very deep ward as well. And honestly, this is pretty important for them, because Root has been playing very aggressive, has been playing very deep as well, making sure to find pickoffs in very unfavorable situations for wheel anyway. So Derp Derp doing God's work basically. Planting also good wards as well because they don't want to give away another Roshan. I think next Roshan they will and they can contest this. And very deep aggressive wards from them as well because, I mean, ultimately they're the ones who also have the global gank potential, right? With the relocate, with the hookshot, with the Tinker TPing as well.
So at this point, we've got just looking for an opening. I mean, they have to consider like just a pickoff and go in for the high ground pretty soon. They don't really get bigger than this.
Oh, they know where Sleazel is.
Oh,
with that tree, and they scouted him out.
But can they get there? Guanzo's just out of range, and he's too fast. Tiny with the movement speed. Oh, Goody will sacrifice himself, though. Panic button, really. Because if you consider it, he has plenty of time to relocate and then tether. And in this case, it might be inexperience on the Wisp, I'm not sure, but he definitely didn't need to die here, but it happens. Instead of just getting the movement speed boost out, he just bails him out completely. And Tiny's safe in town, comforted in the Dire base, but Wisp is down for the full 50 seconds, and it's just kind of a nuisance more than anything else. But harder to harass coming out of the Axe, a bit of an odd pickup in my mind when, you know, you could look for a Sheepstick or a Heaven's Halberd.
Or Shiva's.
Shiva's not bad at all. I mean, the Tiny is reliant on the overcharge. If the overcharge isn't in play, the Shiva's really hurts them. If the overcharge is there, they kind of cancel each other out to a small extent. But either way,
I think he also kind of won armor against the AC. I mean, he has only, I mean, quote unquote, only 11 armor. But if that AC is in play, I think he kind of won armor on this axe. Otherwise, you're kind of melting.
Yeah. Is there a point in time, by the way, where you go like with these hearts on the Viper and the axe? They each buy a blade mail and they just walk into the March machines and kill the Tinker.
Sadly, I think the Tinker needs to have like, I don't know, 3 to 4 marches stacked to actually hurt himself significantly. And I believe he would see that. He would see that coming. So
yeah, let's get that extra courier, sneak it out in the trees. It's always possible. Fluff is actually one of the few captains that actually, when he was on Team Liquid, they did a 5 blade mail strat. I don't think it was against the Tinker, but they went for a 5 blade mail strat. I think they got 3 or 4 by the time they really got to use it. It might have been just against the Keep of the Light or something weird, but yeah, it was about a year and a half ago, and man, was it fun to watch.
I mean, might as well try it. Try something cheeky. It's not something that Will's gonna see coming, right?
Maybe not. You have to be pretty creative to drop some of those types of third graphic strategies. We have some Treants scouting on the high ground here. They're just gonna check out the Dark Forest, make sure no shenanigans are happening up here. And you know what? He's blocking hook shots. Man, that is so next level. Blocking all the hook shots from Ike's Mike and making sure the Roche pit is secured.
In the meantime, though, doing tiny things.
Oh, actually, mid lane, they're going to get the jump onto the Axe, but he's got a Heart of Tarrasque and a Force Staff. Like, I don't see Mike actually working out. He keeps on quoting something here with the war beginning, but in the end, even with a Lion kind of nearby, I don't see them bringing down the Axe. In the meantime, like you said, Sleazel in a battle pose right now, trying to bring down the Radiant Towers, and although he's got a bit of a shoulder blade problem, he is going to be able to wreck through this tower.
Yep. Roshan, they're actually taking a lot of time with this Roche, I feel. Well, that's just the lack of damage coming out. Like, Viper, he's just tickling Roche, let's be honest here. And Fluff, yeah, sure, he has attack speed, but his damage is also not too impressive, to be honest. So
yeah, he didn't have the Mask of Madness for this, or I don't. Well, maybe he had it at the beginning, but he doesn't
had it at
now.
the beginning, I think. It's very unfortunate though because they're giving away 2 towers for a Roche, which does it have cheese? Yeah, it has cheese. So I guess it's sort of worth it.
It's better than the Tiny having it, that's for sure. Or the Wisp having cheese. Can you imagine? That would actually be really problematic. So as long as they glyph the tower, I think it's okay. But we'll see this break out very soon. The war has begun in the mid lane, but Goody needs just a moment.
This is the standoff between 2 heroes who have a lot of health or are quite tanky, but don't really. I don't know what's the damage output. Like X-Mike just doesn't attack Guanzo, so Guanzo doesn't proc his helix. Where's the damage coming from?
No, I mean I don't think there's much damage. He's just holding him in place for the line to get here, but As long as Axe leaves, that should be fine. And we're going to see it break out. We're going to see the taunt come through onto IX Mike. He'll be dropping low, but the Lion, no, the Lion just pieces out. He's dewarding. In the meantime, top lane, it is going to be the death of tier 3. Glyph is going to be saved for the... Oh, it was already used and still hasn't done enough. Where's that Echo Slam? Jason just gets clobbered. No spells at all. Goody going down with the dunk. Fluff and Stuff, low HP thanks to the cleave of that Aghanim Scepter. Sleazel now with a lot of HP, about to be hit by a lot of static charges. Where's that Sprout? The Imba Sprout! Sleazel locked in place for far too long, and he is just out without a home. He is going down. And they got the melee racks, but they also lost the Aegis and the Cheese to Root, and they might have to buy back on their Tiny.
I think this was very much worth it for Root. Very well played as well, just ignoring the Tiny, and I love how Guanzo immediately jumped on the Wisp, because if you kill the Wisp immediately, you can just wait until you can kill the Tiny. Like, smart play. Fluff also immediately focusing down the Tinker. Very smart play overall. Sure, they lost Jason, but, you know, it's just one Earthshaker. And with this, they're going to push down the mid lane. As you said, they need to force out this Tiny buyback. They're not going to get... They're very unlikely to get any buildings out of this, but forcing out a Tiny buyback already is pretty huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to try to hold it without buying back on the Tiny. Relic is certainly capable. It's just, he's got to spam and spam and spam some more to try to hold this position. They've got Glyph, they've got a tier 3, so I think they're going to try to hold it and make sure the Tiny still has buyback for later, but they're being pushed down multiple lanes, and that's the weakness of the Tinker. He marches the hell out of one lane, clears the creep wave that way, but suddenly you got two, and Mike getting taunted in, lightning bolts coming through, and there's the dunk. Mike has to buy back. The Tiny still holding onto it, and the tier 3 is under heavy siege. We actually see Relic get stunned out by the Earthshaker. Can they chain it? Yeah, there's the Echo Slam, and the Tinker has to buy back. Everybody but Tiny is buying back into this fight, and suddenly the racks are going to be exposed. There's Relic again. Can they bring him down? No silence available, but they do have the BKB. They get the taunt. Relic is about to die back with only 4 Bloodstone charges, 78 seconds. Finally, the Tiny is coming back. Can he carry the team to victory? 3v5 here. The racks going down for sure. Glyphed, and here comes the big mountain. No Wisp to amp him up. And he is really not certain about this. He can't blink in. He just has to run in with his BKB and start flailing his giant club around. But in the meantime, bottom lane is gone. Tier 3 now. Melee as well. They can't lose more buildings. Long range Viper Strike from Ewo's Aghanim Scepter. And they're going to take 4 out of the 6 racks. Even looking at top, thanks to that Tinker's dieback. They have just blown this game wide open. And Sleazel's making his last stand. Look at the damage though. Eva tossed. Hookshot. Guanzo with the nice taunt. But in the end, can they stop it? They have to kill Sleazel one way or another. He does have buyback, though, that's for sure. Almost 10,000 gold as he brings Monkeys low. The cheese from the Zeus keeps him up. Tiny's back in. Lion diebacks, and the Clockwork on the run. The Clockwork will live, but Sleazel's all by himself. Just him and the Wisp and the Clockwork healing. Ewo now turning on to Goody. Goody cannot die. 3, 2, 1, he goes down! The Wisp is down for the count. Tiny and Clockwork against the world. And this is going to be mega creeps right here. They can't go for they can bet BOT. Sleazel has to get back to the fountain and BOT and try to base race this because that's the only chance left. But no, he gets caught in the tree line. Diebacks as well. And that is it. GG. Here in the Red Bull American pre-qualifier, we'll have been eliminated by Root Gaming 2-1.
What a game, man. What a game. Oh god. This so many things, so many mistakes, I believe. I think they should have fought back on season much earlier. Like after
yeah, no, he held it so long.
Yeah, after he died for the first time and bought back, I think they should have just bought back on Tiny and fought with 5. Like they never fought with 5 heroes in the end. Like they always were at a disadvantage, at a huge disadvantage in Root Gaming. Honestly, a weird lineup to be honest, just because of the Furion, but they executed this so well.
Really did.
Really props to them. I mean, almost no misplay in the grand scheme of things. It was a huge game from them.
I wouldn't say it was any one thing that made Root Gaming's lineup work other than the Zeus. The Zeus was this crutch that they just put in. He puts out all the damage and everybody else is on the front line doing shit. And yeah, Root Gaming, they did so many different things that all worked well for them. Their kill advantage was monumental, 45-24, and the end result is they can't find enough time to farm. Wisp dies 15 times, and Root Gaming take it away. So that is going to be the first of our 2 best of 3s. Oh my gosh, just to say that is making me tired. But yeah, this is the 3rd game of this best of 3. Concluding this match, Wheel are eliminated. But we've got one more coming at you guys. Leviathan versus Void Boys is going to be just a couple minutes. It was scheduled 15 minutes ago. We're going to get it underway shortly. Thank you so much for tuning in here to Beyond the Summit for the Red Bull American pre-qualifier, and is, of course, for Red Bull Battleground. So, going forward, I myself and Blaze, hopefully you guys enjoyed the commentary. If you have any feedback or thoughts, hit me up on Twitter at BlazeCasting. And, of course, shout out to my co-caster here for joining me, Skim at Skim Gaming. It's been a pleasure, man. And we'll get on into the next match, or at the very least I will. And thanks for tuning in.